Ladies and gentlemen, happy Wednesday. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you so much for joining us here on Gap Wedge Wednesday. I am your host, Jeff Schneider, off of the Schneid, joined by the three-time Jeremy Swinson. Jeremy, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic this morning. I thought we just had a little intro music, while we're sitting here.
Are you playing that off your phone into the microphone?
I have to. That's all I can do right now, bud. We're
It's
making
really
things happen.
We are very low budget here, but the gentlemen who help us with our budget are here as well too. We do have Country Club Chad and Polly Parputz joining us here on Gap Wage Wednesday. Boys, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
What's up,
It's a
fellas?
pleasure
Good morning.
Paul. Thank you so much. The smooth, sultry sounds of the two of you just really warm my heart on some days. I did want to touch on a few things. Obviously, last week, a couple guys we had in the field. Keith Mitchell, one of them at the top, holes out on 18 on uh,
Saturday.
Yes, thank you,
Saturday,
Chad.
yeah.
On Saturday, to go to post the number, which was 10 under, I believe, something like that. Incredible. Cameron Young still in striking distance. We go
Keith
down.
Mitchell clearly blew his wad on Saturday.
Pretty incredible. But Cameron Young, we have right there, and Cameron Young, who has never won a tournament before, who was definitely highly touted on this show as a guy to definitely circle and target at the top of the board. He's right there. And as tough as Sunday was for us, Chad, this one really kind of got to me. What were your thoughts on the way that it kind of played out at the end? I was super frustrated by the ruling that they had. Um, your thoughts on the way it all played out?
I mean, if you can't really get mad about the ruling, it's that way for everybody. It just seemed like it was our luck that day, the way that Keith Mitchell came out and played. We had a good spot there. Uh, but just the way that they went, it just seemed like Malnati getting a ruling like that where he could have easily had a bogey there. Instead, he's putting for birdie.
Yeah,
You know,
the swing on that is what I guess is so upsetting. I mean, and Paul, you're the most knowledgeable when it comes to the rules of golf. I would say that we
Which
have.
puts us in a real bad spot. But go ahead.
But so he hits the ball into the rough, right? And it's buried into the rough. And obviously his stance is impeded by a sprinkler head. Okay. So he gets to move the ball, he gets a club length.
Yep.
But I was under the understanding that you can't change you can't go from the rough to the fairway. You know what I mean? Am I incorrect on that assumption?
Yeah, fortunately for Peter Malnati, the club length will get you anywhere on the course. And sometimes, let's say you're in days of old Phil Mickelson or Jordan Spieth, and you're up against some kind of temporary structure or
Right.
whatever, and you have like a lot of charisma, and you can talk with the official, and that's back when what's his name there, Scooter, the guy who's real famous for being the rules guy. I think he's doing live now, but whatever his name is, White Gunner, Shooter White, whatever.
I don't know.
Anyway, so he's a real famous rules guy. And he comes over and he's like, "Oh, what do you?" He's like, "Oh, I think I got to move this." Well, then Phil takes a club length, drops it on the cart path, gets relief from that, and the next thing you know, he's 3 feet from the hole. It's how you use the rules to your advantage in those situations. Now, do I think that everybody should get free drops from everywhere? No. And yeah, it's not a charity scramble. So if you land in the sand, you got to keep it in the sand, or if you land in the rough, you got to keep it in the rough. This is just a situation where sometimes you get caught in a lip and it's embedded, and you can move it to a different, a better lie or whatever else. Malnati is on the players board at this point, which they talked about ad nauseum after his win. They talked about it before his win as reasons why he was getting invited into fields maybe he didn't belong in, but then he goes out and wins, at Valspar and proves his worth. So, yeah, it was. If you saw his interview at the end, I think
Emotional.
it gives a lot back to the idea of this means things to the players that play. This isn't just a money grab for, the top 20 guys in the world. This goes back to the Wyndham Clark conversation we had a week or 2 weeks ago, where he's saying there's only 100 guys that belong out there, whatever it was.
Right.
I argued the point for Wyndham Clark at that time. This is a counterpoint. This is Peter Malnati, who hasn't won in 9 years, goes out and grinds for 4 days and pulls it out. So, and he didn't win by just the one stroke that he might have picked up in that. He won by 2. So,
Well, yeah,
I felt a
obviously,
little better about
yeah.
the extra stroke, but it's still when you got guys chasing it down at the end, and we think the Burrito boys are going to bring one home, and then Peter Malnati and his bucket hat and his yellow ball.
Bucket hat and yellow ball too. I think that's like the thing that I'm just like, dude, my grandpa's out there playing golf. Like,
Yeah,
seriously, like that's what my grandpa wore every day when he went and played golf was a bucket hat, and he'd have a yellow ball that he probably found sitting in the bushes somewhere that he was playing with. So it's just,
I played
Yeah.
a charity scramble on Monday morning over at West Orange Country Club, and one of the guys in my group was yellow ball and bucket hat type guy. So,
And you didn't tell us about this? That was a sign.
It was a little. That was Monday.
Oh, damn.
The event was over Sunday, so it was kind of like a little salt in the wounds, actually. So I didn't tell you about it.
You should have knocked his ass out.
Yeah. Well, and then also too, like the obviously Cam Young, who's playing so well, just rips it straight left on 18. Ends up not being OB. We end up having a shot. He ends up getting it up there, and then like one of his only 3 putts of the week, like to just really just drive a nail in there. Tough one. Listen, second place. I know it sucks, but if you tailed, you probably still made a little bit of money as well. And with that being said, that is the end of the swing we have. And we are on to bigger and better things, arguably. But in terms of state-wise, we are into the Texas swing right now as well. Football. We are looking at the Texas Children's Houston Open, I believe is what it's called. Is that correct?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Jeff, your mic. Yeah, your mic's off a little bit. We had a little difficulty hearing you right there.
Okay, my mic?
Yeah. Now it's better.
Okay, sorry. So we move into the Texas part of the golf year, the Texans Children's Houston Open Memorial Park Golf Course out in Houston, Texas. Chad, what are we? I'm sorry, Paul. What are we looking at for the course layout that we have?
CJ Stroud is here this week.
Yeah, they made some great moves.
Hey, they got a running back now. They're ready to go.
I love Joe Mixon this year in fantasy.
Yep. Yeah. Memorial Park is the golf course. Long par 70. It's 74, 112 yards. And again, par 70, there are 5 par 3s of varying lengths and 3 par 5s. One that's a monster and 2 others that are in the long 5 distance. Green sizes are big, 7,000 square feet.
Huge.
Got a lot of rough, not super penal. One thing about it is they've had some rain early in the week, looking to be drying up in the next couple days. But that rough would be, if the rough gets wet, it's going to be different than if it's dry, but not super penal. It is. There's 120 acres of rough. The course was redesigned with help from Brooks Koepka. This is going back 4 or 5 years. And they took out a lot of bunkers. So the bunker count here is there's only 21 on the course. That seems very low for a PGA course, but basically what they did was they removed greenside bunkers because the thought was pros aim at bunkers because they're easy to get up and down from. This has more of runoffs. The collars are POA and ryegrass overseed this time of year. It was designed to play as Bermuda, but because of the time of year and the need for overseed, the rough is going to act a little differently. The greens are Poa Trivial's overseed, which, if you've been listening for the last 4 weeks, that means they're Bermuda. So these are Texas Bermuda greens, not traditional Florida Bermuda greens, but still that Bermuda. It's the same Bermuda that we talk about in, say, Arizona for Phoenix, or that POA overseed that we've been talking about the past few days, or the events. So that's the course structure. I got carried away there with the rough, but I think that puts a bow on the course.
We like to talk grass here on the Uninformed fan. It's not an issue. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing that as well too.
One thing with the rough though this year I saw is that it's going to be 2.5 inches, when the last few times it was only like 1.5 inches, supposedly. So
That extra inch is definitely going to matter, as we all know. Chad, that being said, obviously we're moving into the Texas portion of this. Some of these courses, do we have a lot of information on in terms of statistics and different stuff like that we're getting at?
With this one, no, we don't really have any trends or anything like that. It's only been played. This is the 4th time they're going to be playing here at Memorial. And the last 3 times it was in November. So this course has been played totally different than it did back then. It's going to be longer because it's going to be softer than it was in November, because you got your long dry spells during the summer that are going to make the course harder. The balls are going to run further in the fairways and stuff like that. So it's going to play longer than the 7,400 that it's at. So it's going to be a different setup for guys. So distance is going to play a little bit more of a factor, I feel like. So we're going to be looking for guys that have a good total driving that we're going to emphasize with distance. Longer irons, proximity over 200. I like approaches like 150 to 175 to the and 175 to 200. The par 3s are going to be big because there's 5 of them. The only thing is we can't really get a good reading on our model with the par 3s because they vary so much. But I feel like with our model in the par 5s, we did tighten it up just before we came on. So we're gonna have some good. I feel like we have a good feel of what the guys are gonna be looking at this week. I mean, obviously, there's one guy out there that is just doing stupid things right now, and I know Paul will get into that with his strategy this week. So we'll get into
Paul,
that.
How do we do that? I mean, listen, Scotty's in the field, and obviously, Scotty's incredible, right? And anytime Scotty's in the field, you're talking about one of the best ball strikers in the history of the PGA Tour. But how do we handicap Scotty being there, especially in a tournament like this where there's not all the huge names that we have normally? You have shorter odds on even guys like Sahith Theegala, who we usually get great numbers on, but there's just not a ton of those top players that are there. How do we handicap a tournament like this, Paul?
So for me, I'm probably going to steer away from normal outright betting. So in a normal week, we might take 6 guys with a goal to outright. I would say this is a week where I think he opened. So Scotty Scheffler opened at 3, and that number trended down. So it got shorter. I've seen
I'm the plus 260 here.
Yeah, 2.5, 260. I mean, that's like, I don't know if sharp money jumped on him at 3 and just moved it. He's by far the best player in the field, and it's not particularly close. If Scotty goes out and tee to greens this thing and can gain 2 strokes all week on the green, we're talking about another 5-stroke win. And that's with guys who are, I believe Wyndham Clark is a world-class player. I think he's top.
An asshole.
Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want about his personality. That's I think that helps. I think he is becoming a guy who people can hate.
Yeah.
And you need a guy like that on tour.
Makes him more relevant.
A lot of those guys went to live a lot of, buttoned up Tiger guys, a lot of guys who really liked, X, Y, and Z, name the Golden Boys, whoever you like, didn't really like Brooks Koepka. Then you had the guys who couldn't stand Bryson DeChambeau and his antics,
Oh,
Patrick
Jesus.
Reed and his villain shit. Um, they're all live guys now, so we don't
Yeah.
really have, and that's part of the whether the ratings are due to where people are viewing or how people are viewing, or the fact that gambling has taken over golf over the course of the last 5. I mean, for us, it's been 10, but so many seasons. And without a dog in the hunt, I mean, unless you were with us and hunting down Cam Young,
Cam Young, yeah.
Wins on Sunday, you could tune out. And honestly, I was in a place where I didn't watch the last 5 holes other than on my phone, because the Taylor Swift concert was streaming in the place where I was at. So
How was it?
it's a production, dude. I'll tell you what, that
Ian
girl,
came out of it thoroughly impressed. A Swiftie,
she's not the best singer on earth, okay? She's no Celine Dion, she's no Adele, she's not
Christina.
Whitney Houston, whatever else. But damn, is that a show? It's like 5 concerts in one. It's ridiculous. The costume changes, the set, the lights, the this, the that, and everyone in that stadium is. So on Disney Plus, it's from SoFi, so it's our
Okay.
last stop on the tour, and it's in LA, and
Yeah.
it's bananas. That place has like 5 decks and like the lights going off and everything else. It's nuts. Very impressive. So I wouldn't consider myself a Swiftie, but as far as like impressive stage performance and production, she's the closest thing to what we grew up with what I grew up with, from Michael Jackson. I mean, that dude changed the way that shows were done, concerts. He was the Beatles. I mean, it went the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and now it's Taylor Swift. So I didn't think we would be talking about Taylor Swift this afternoon, but here we are.
You just never know what you're going to get here on the Uninformed Fan with Gap Wedge Wednesday. So, here we are. I mean, we're here to answer all the questions. So back to the betting strategy with Scotty. We're going to look more top 10s, top 20s, and guys that target in that range, correct?
Yeah. I would say you're looking for those other markets where there may be more value. Of course, we're going to have a couple outrights, a couple bombs. You're getting great numbers on some guys because Scotty's in the field. It's going to lengthen or stretch out, I guess, the odds on some of the deeper guys.
Yeah. I'm looking at some
you're-
numbers here I think are incredible.
The only one who's been really dueling them consistently over the last however long is Wyndham Clark. And you're looking at whatever it is, 12, 14 maybe on him. And he just doesn't show enough on the model for me. Consistently playing great. He's very well could be there on Sunday in the mix. His caddy's going to be right there, lining up his
can't
putts.
wait. Line up his putt for him.
Yep, with the wedge in his hand and just making sure, he has no diaper rash, and he's been coddled quite enough.
Well fed.
Yeah. You hate
Make sure
him
he gets
so
his
much.
banana at the turn.
Yeah, he's got a peanut butter and banana sandwich that has been made for him as well.
With no
But
crust.
that being said, I think if there are 2 guys that are shorter than 30-1 this week that you may want to look at, depending on what kind of odds you can find, definitely line shop on these 2. Will Zalatoris and Jason Day. Chad normally mentions about Texas courses that would like Australians.
Australians, Koreans, and Texans. They play well in Texas.
That's our trends over the years.
And we're not being racial. It's just facts, okay?
Trust me, we love the Woos and the Kims. I've been watching Shogun on FX. Great show.
That is not Korea, dude.
Jesus.
Well, no, but they're
Now
great.
who's racist? Oh my god.
Well,
I
Matsuyama's
also
not
like
Korean,
wonton
but
soup.
he plays well in Texas.
He
Who's
did?
that?
Matsuyama?
When did he play good in Texas?
I thought he in the match play. Anyway, all right.
No, yeah, Country Club of Austin's kind of a different animal, though.
I guess.
Yeah, that's totally different
still
course.
Texas. Like I know Texas is like, oh, Austin's not really Texas, but it still is technically whatever.
Yeah, but Country Club of Austin's a Pete Dye course. It's shorter. There's
Yeah.
drivable par 4. I mean, we're not doing any of that this week. We got
Chad,
this is a
anybody you got top of the
long-ass
board?
course in Texas.
I'm gonna go. The only guy I like at the top of the board is my guy that I've been on.
So
His odds are like 18, 20.
yeah.
Sahith. That's the only guy that, I mean, like Paul was saying, the model just doesn't work out for Wyndham. We all
Going
know.
with the defending champ though.
We all. Finau, he's not. I don't like Finau right now. He's just.
25-1.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay.
It's not his game's not shaping up right now. So
He has been a little rocky lately.
yeah. So I'm just on Sahith up top.
Okay.
I'm gonna build my card further down where I feel like I get better value. So
Anybody you like in that middle area?
the middle area, I'm gonna hope that Keith can figure out how to play 4 days. I'm gonna go back to him at 40. He's in the model. He hits up top. He ranks 10th in our model overall. He's a great driver of the ball. His distance and accuracy is really good. I want to say he's like top 5. Yeah, he's third in total driving, which is going to be key here. The approach game is really well right now. Third at that also. So as long as he can not bite himself in the ass, I think he's got a good shot here.
Okay.
Another guy that is popping in the model, he finished 9th. Yeah, actually, Keith Mitchell last year finished 9th here. Another guy that finished 9th here I like is Steven Yeager. Another guy that's a good driver of the ball. He's going to be able to keep it in the fairway, make some putts. He's got a good shot. Alex Noren finished 4th here last year. In these lighter fields, Alex Noren is a guy that always seems to show up somehow. He always shows up in our models. I always feel like I'm afraid to take him for some reason. But I know why, because it always seems like whenever I do take him, he doesn't show up. And when I don't, and he's in our model and he's sitting right there in front of me and I don't take him, is when he does show up. So if you guys just want to fade Alex Noren, I'm probably going to be on him. So go ahead and feel free to do that.
Right.
And then my last guy in that range is going to be we never know how to say his name right. It's Tom Hoagie, whatever it is. He plays Texas golf really well. So I'm going to be on him for a small donation also.
Gotcha. Paul, middle of the board. Who are we looking at?
Yeah, the two
All
guys
those
that
guys?
fall into that.
The what?
You got me?
There you go.
Hey,
You came
good.
back.
I was just saying. I said middle of the board, like probably all
Yeah.
those guys, obviously. But anybody else you got?
Yeah, Jake Knapp,
Mm-hmm.
long off the tee. This is a course where it's a little more open, a little more wide open, and less penal rough. So we're not worried about him being in a bunch of water and or behind a tree. And a Longhorn, Texas kid, Doug Gim, who we have mentioned, feels like every week. Texas, familiar with the Texas style, been in form, and if he can find a putter, he might be up there in the top 20.
I do like
So
Doug Gim.
I like those two guys for their distance / accuracy off the tee, their ability to ball strike, and possibly get hot on the greens.
Jeremy, any whatabouts you got for us for the boys?
One of the guys that popped up in my little list of people that I'm looking at is where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is. Well, you named all my guys. Billy Ho. Billy Horschel. Been playing pretty well this year. Sees his best on Bermuda grass courses. He's won twice and finished runner-up in the state of Texas. So I think that's one guy that I think I might not put a whole lot, but maybe a couple dollars on that. What do you think about that? Where's Billy Horschel fit in this area?
I got Billy Horschel at 20th on our model. Like you said with Bermuda, he's top 10 in putting on Bermuda. So that's one thing where he does fit the bill on that. That's where he probably saves a lot of strokes for himself, because I know he is a guy that can lose it off the tee a little bit, and he does save some pars miraculously. I've noticed watching him, but his ball striking, he's 104, greens regulation 125, and that's going to be a couple of key things here. Why I'm not going to be on him. So and he's a Gator, so yeah, whatever.
I know.
I got two for you. I got two. They're much longer shots than anybody that we've mentioned so far. One of them, Cam Davis. The other one would be Cameron Champ. Cameron Champ, I just thought played really well last week. Coming to the stretch, I feel like usually kind of falls apart, but I was just kind of impressed by the way he played Valspar. Maybe has a little bit of momentum going into this tournament.
Yeah, I think Cam Davis is a guy that I mention every week, regardless of if he has the worst burrito of his life on the weekend or doesn't make the weekend because he's 17 over.
It's a boomer bust play, but whatever.
Yeah, those are anomalies, but he is Australian.
Yeah.
So that fits our Australians in Texas narrative, and he is generally pretty
He's
distant
generally a
off
good
the
ball
tee.
striker.
Yeah. So another guy who's
especially for a longer course, right? Like,
yeah. Now his win came, it was either 3M or Rocket, and those are up north. That's Minnesota
Michigan.
or Detroit. Yeah, and so his greens are a little different, and the time of year he won was July. So you're looking at.
He's been in terrible form, by the way, too. But just like in terms of like
North,
it's two bills, right? Like
You think 17 over in 2 days was bad form?
I have no idea what you're talking about. But as far as strokes gained in Texas goes,
114.
ugh.
is he that deep?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
I had to go find him. It was shocking.
What about the other one, Mr. Champ?
You just like him because he hits the ball a long way.
Yeah, of course.
He's an Aggie.
Yeah.
That plays a little bit of part where maybe he can. Oh my goodness, he plays. Oh my God.
That does not sound good for Jeff.
Not good in Texas.
No, 117.
Oh man.
But hey, his total driving, he's number one.
Yeah, because he's distance number one in the field, or he's
Right.
number two. Chris Gotterup, who
Yeah.
has no accuracy off the tee. That by the way, now that I just mentioned his name, it's a guy a lot of people are talking about this week, only because he's like falling back into form.
Chris Gotterup.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably 200 to 1 or something like that. So
I have him right here, plus 15,000. So
so
150.
150.
So throw $3 on him and cover your weak bet. Like, I mean, that's don't go crazy.
Anybody else we got long shots wise for you guys?
We
Paul,
are
go ahead.
Yeah, we are on Bermuda grass, and this dude somehow, I look at him every week and I go, yeah, he's top 40, he's gonna miss the cut, whatever, and then creeps in, makes the number or the cut on the number, has a fair Saturday, and then he's like T17 again on Bermuda greens, and it's Ben Griffin. I don't know. I mean, good for him. The thing, and I'll mention it because I was thinking it when Chad was talking about Hoagie in the middle tier. Is Tom Hoagie feels to me like a guy who just wants to go out and make 100 grand a weekend and not have to do an interview. We never see him talking on TV. I don't know if he can read. Like I mean, I
He's
look
from
at the
like North
guy.
Dakota, so
I look at the guy and he's probably the sweetest dude there is and a great guy to get a beer with, but I don't think he wants to do an interview ever. So like just go out, make your six figures on the weekend. Don't have to talk to Amanda Renner. Don't have to say anything. Don't have to worry about sponsors wanting your time or anything like that. Just go out and do it week to week. And I don't know if he's a winner. And the same thing with Ben Griffin. He just seems like a guy who goes out and like, well, I guess I'm here, smile at everybody, wear my nice press slacks. I
Also
don't.
But
sound at the
he
Gator
gets
Stadium, so it's a tough pull for me. You know.
he gets paid to play golf. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Yep, yep. But these, like, you don't have to win. Like,
No,
there's not a requirement on the PGA Tour to win. You just got to be in the top 70 guys. Get your card renewed annually, and
and
then sure, if you win, I mean, you get a 2-year exemption. You can Justin Thomas it around for a couple years. You can
ooh,
beat Ricky Fowler for
Wow.
an amount of time where you don't have to make the playoffs or whatever. Because you have exemptions. You've won things. That's wonderful for these guys. But the guys who are just consistently in the top 40 every year and they go out and they just make their money and you look at the end and it's Charles Howell III who has 4 career wins, but he's made $57 million playing golf before he went to live. So like good for those guys. That's their job and they don't have to be on TV all the time and they're not selling you a driver or the latest golf ball tech or whatever it is. I just think he's one of those guys. So a top 20 on Ben Griffin on Bermuda grass for whatever you're getting it, probably a decent odds. Another guy who played well in Texas was hurt for a little bit and came back. I actually have 2 guys that fall into that category. Daniel Berger, who has won on tour multiple times. He was a guy who we talked about 3 years ago. He's made a Ryder Cup team, if I remember correctly. Was in the conversation for these next best guys, and he's longer than 100 to 1. I think I saw him at 130 or 180, something like that. And
150.
then a guy I mentioned last week about maybe wait until we get to Texas is Bud Cauley. Bud Cauley coming back from injury, played a couple rounds, rounding into form, has very good history in Texas. His strokes gained in Texas. I mean, these rounds go back to 2020, but if we go to strokes gained total in Texas, Bud Cauley is Jason Day's number 4, Daniel Berger is number 5, and Bud Cauley is number 12. So for a guy you're getting maybe at 150, 200 to 1, and who's top 20 number is going to be somewhere around 260, 350, something like that. I think those 2 guys are worth a shot in the long shot categories.
as long as we can go back to pre-COVID, we got a shot.
Anybody you like down there, Chad?
I got some guys that he's a Korean, so he's going to play Texas well. KH Lee. He's starting to round into form. He came through in the Valspar, finished top 10 or top 10, I believe, at Valspar. So he's rounding into form. Yeah, he was ninth.
Ninth.
Guy that's rounding into form, so I kind of like that. A guy that I also like, he's had 3 top 20s in his last 4 starts. I told you guys to get on him last week at Valspar. He pulled off a top 20 for us there. Andrew Novak. This guy's been striking the ball really well. He's definitely in form. Like I said, he's been cashing us top 20s the last few weeks. A guy that he's going to be on the middle tier of medium or long shot is Mackenzie Hughes. He plays this course really well. He's had 2 top 20s here. Granted, it was a different time of year, but I feel like he knows the course well enough that he can pull off another top 10, top 20. He played well last week. He was right there in the thick of it. Kind of fell off at the end of the final round, but he was right there. Um, a guy that I don't know how he always ends up in these models that we put together on courses like this, but is Nate Lashley. And I get him at 150 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even like he's 13th on our model. I don't even know how this guy is there, but I mean, like thinking back and remembering a few tournaments, I'm like, how's this guy on our model? And then he finishes like 8th. I'm like, Jesus, I guess it sometimes you just got to trust the model and not even think about it. That's what we've learned from this. So guys you don't normally bet that you see in our models, it's like sometimes you just got to pull the trigger on and pray. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it seems like more times than not, it usually works out for us because we've done pretty well from what I've understood.
The old pull and pray, huh?
Yeah, we've done that a few times, huh?
Well,
Anybody
looking through
else?
that,
Anybody else got anything?
If you're doing some DK lineups and you're trying to get Scotty Scheffler in there at 13,000,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna need some guys at the bottom, like 5,000-6,000 range. There's some guys that went to school in Texas. They either went to Austin at UT or they went to A&M, which are both close to there. There's a couple guys that are actually from outside the Houston area, or Cole Hammer, who went to UT, and a guy that came out of nowhere last week and finished third at Valspar, so he's in form, Chandler Phillips. A couple of guys you might want to take a peek at if you're trying to fit some low guys in there. Also, you can look at Parker Cootie, who also went to Texas,
Parker
and
Cootie.
Sam Bennett. Remember the Masters kid, Sam Bennett, a couple years ago?
mm-hmm.
He was like in the top 20 there as an amateur. He went to A&M, so
silly
he's
ass beard, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like acting all cocky and shit, like whatever. But
Mhm.
he's gonna be low value there or low price, maybe have some value because those kids are gonna know the course. I think I want to say that Chandler Phillips, when he was like 13, was playing there and had a hole in one. So it's just one of those random things that you find when you're just searching around and shit. But few guys there that might have some value for you because they know the course and they probably played it more than a lot of these other guys, so they know the ins and outs of it. Might help you out a little bit. Might throw some top 20s on those guys at like 10 to 1.
Any
Like,
first round leaders that we like?
honestly, I would go with those 4 because they're going to be very low, very deep odds. I would throw those 4 at first round leader because maybe they just come out hot and know the course the best.
So, and we always talk about odds and value, right? But just the FYI, Scotty to win the tournament, right? Plus 250. First round leader, plus 1,100.
Yeah, but he starts off slow.
Yeah. Well,
that's why.
He could very well go out tomorrow and the course is going to be the softest tomorrow.
Right.
It should tighten up as the week goes on. So if you're looking, I think the lowest scores we'll see will be tomorrow. They generally put Thursday pins. Thursday pins are not as difficult as Sunday pins on most weeks. So you may see a low score. So Scotty, here's the thing, and Chad, you correct me if I'm wrong, but Texas with the wind, you generally want to go out early in the day.
Yeah.
And Scotty does tee off. He tees off on the back 9. Yeah, 7:53 local time.
Yeah.
And then another guy who I don't know if you mentioned in your long shots, who we talked about in pre-show, is Luke List. Ball striker.
Yeah, he's
going out at 8:15 local time. He's generally a guy who shows up on the Golf Channel and not so much on national broadcasts, so that's good for first round leader stuff. I like those two, and then basically you're just looking at your longer odds. If you can parlay, or if you can find a wire to wire bet, you may be able to enhance Scotty off that 260 number to something, a little more palatable. Another thing is he's 2 weeks out. If he takes this form into Augusta, there is no stopping him. So,
Parlay,
maybe
win
it's
this and win the
win this
Masters.
and the Masters.
You could do like an open parlay.
You got a
right?
good number there. Or Scotty to win any major this year, and then this week, 260 is just way too. I mean, those are Tiger numbers.
It's insane.
We have not seen sub 3. I think DJ went off. Dustin Johnson went off when he had won. It might have been 3 in a row going into the playoffs or some shit like that, and he was like 4-1 going into the fourth leg of it, and that's the shortest that I've seen since Chad and I started doing this 10 years ago, however long it's been. And we're talking about 2.5 to 1 for a guy to win out of 150 guys. So what's the field bet? Do we have a Scotty versus the field? Like, can you get the field at minus 300?
You cannot on
it's insanity.
Yeah, you can't get it. They don't really have any specials like that. Like, will there be a playoff? What's the winning margin?
But it's also deserving. Like, the guy is by far Tee to Green the best player we've seen since peak Tiger. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely, and I think we need to appreciate what we're seeing a little bit as well too. It feels like I don't know, maybe because the numbers are down, but it just doesn't seem like the hype is there as it was back then.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys got before we go ahead and call it?
One guy I forgot to mention in the long shots is he's got 2 top 10s here. He's only played here twice. Is Joel Damon. He finished 9th and 5th, and he's a guy that plays good in spurts. And I know I've seen him a couple leaderboards lately, so that's the guy that I forgot to mention. And I would throw him on a first round leader also.
Heard. Okay. All right.
So maybe we'll get some cards out to you earlier today that you can post them somewhere.
I would love that. The 3-time has the card, so he literally has everything written down. He just has to put that into a form on one of our social media pages.
Maybe 3-time can work on becoming a 4-time and start doing that.
Wow.
I would not call that a card necessarily.
It's literally a card.
It is like an index card.
It's literally an index. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but that's been screenshotted and sent around like the town whore. If we're going to be honest.
Hello.
At the end of every week, we we've hit the time limit. It seems.
It's because if you give me and Chad 30 to 45 minutes together, the last 15 are going to get a little squirrely.
Something's going to be said. That's true.
You never know what's going to happen.
It just is what it is. Anyway, all right. Well, boys, I appreciate you. It was great. Good luck this week. Anything else you guys got before we get out of here?
Is there anything going on in Brazil?
Can't wait for the World Cup.
Well,
I will be a big Brazil fan for the World Cup. Let me tell you that.
I'll be going to Brazil in October, actually. So
tell everybody we said hi.
The NFL's going to Brazil.
I will send my love. Yeah, you do have Eagles, and
they're looking at the Browns or the Packers. That's what I heard.
I thought that was already confirmed. The Eagles were going.
Oh yeah, no, the Eagles are.
But they're going to play one of those two.
I got you. I thought it was the Falcons for some reason. Can't put Kirk Cousins down there.
Hey, it doesn't matter. It's going to be
a lot of tight ends
streaming on Peacock, so it'll be a great game.
A lot of big defensive fronts. These the defensive ends are going to try to get a lot of penetration.
God bless my family. I love you guys.
Paul, are you okay, buddy? Are you having a stroke?
Oh.
Can you smell colors right now? All right, well, let's recap a little bit. Chad's got Sahith Theegala Keith Mitchell, Stephen Yeager, Alex Noren, Tom Hoagie, K.H. Lee, Andrew Novak, Mackenzie Hughes, Nate Lashley, and Joel Damon. Paulie, Parputts like Swilly Z, Jason Day, Jake Knapp, Doug Gim, Little Ben Griffin, Peter Griffin's son, Danny Berger, Bud Cauley. You know I'm going to put something in there. All right, and then our FRLs, a lot of the Texas guys, Parker Cody, Sam Bennett, Chandler Phillips,
Cootie.
Cole Hammer, Parker Cootie, sorry, my handwriting is bad. Luke List and Joel Damon again. But Scotty is a 2.5 to 1 favorite, so we'll see what happens.
On that FRL, throw Novak and Yeager. I like those two also.
Novak and Yeager.
Yeah, we'll
don't-
tighten up that card as the day goes on.
Yeah, we don't go much on FRL, so we just have fun with them. So
Yeah, a couple bucks.
yeah,
Couple bucks.
just try to make that Thursday real fun.
Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a great day. You can bet first round leader in the morning. Then you're gonna have day baseball going on as well too. Starting around 1 o'clock probably. That you got, and then you're gonna have March Madness at night. So I mean,
Is tomorrow opening day?
Yeah,
Tomorrow is opening day.
So tomorrow's a
shit.
heck of a day for everybody if you like to throw some dollars on it, just like Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter.
Hey.
If I could make one prediction about baseball, Chad will be on multiple first 5 inning unders tomorrow.
You know it.
Probably pretty good bets considering you got aces.
Aces going
everywhere.
against bats that aren't ready.
The first day that you get to have all the aces going at the same day. So yeah.
Oh, you know it. Paul, you just know me like a back of your hand.
My prediction was
Or
correct.
maybe the palm of his hand.
Hey.
Whoa.
I've never been there.
I'm not a fortune teller. I don't read palms.
Nor
Boys,
does
thank you
his
very much.
palms
Good luck
touch
this
me.
weekend. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck all over the place. Look forward to recapping and talking to you again next week. Thanks, boys.
We'll see you
All
guys.
right. Talk to you later.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today here on Gap Wedge Wednesday and the Uninformed Fan. We look forward to seeing you next week. Make sure to tune in, as always, on Wednesdays. Right now, we're kind of in that little, 12:15 to 12:30 range. Knock it out, but make sure you go search the Uninformed Fan. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you get the golf content and make you guys some money. Is there anything you got?
That ought to do it. Let's wrap this thing up.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys have a great weekend. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you.